Well, here we are. I got one table that's obviously good. This Dell 7704 is definitely a fish. And I also have reason to believe that this guy right here from Denmark, this BIF, I'll just say is the first three letters of the screen name, that Biff is pretty fishy too. I'm still waiting for, I don't know why I bet that flop, but it's just kind of like a default move. But when they're both pretty fishy, this is a spot where I should just check fold. And now I really wish I had stats on him because it's a good turn card to bet again. I have a feeling he's pretty just limping the button really wide. This is awful river. And he did have a 9. Probably could have gotten him off it on the river. Um, so there it is. First hand was misplayed. I definitely should have just check folded that flop. But I got distracted at talking and wondering what was up with the HUD. Anyway, I was going to say there it is, finally popped up. Um, this number right here shows me that there's allegedly three fish at the table. In fact, there's really only just one, and that's this 125 hand sample where this guy's at 69-3, very aggressive, doesn't raise much, doesn't fold much on the flop or the turn. Especially now that I can see just how loose and aggressive he is, and how um, unlikely it is he folds either the flop or turn. That was a very bad first hand to play, which is strange because um, my standard would either be to just raise pre and c bet if the player is loose passive enough. Obviously, you can raise a lot there, and or if as the case was, as my thinking went pre, that they're too fishy, I'm just gonna check and hope to hit a strong hand. So somewhere I forgot what my logic was pre there. I shouldn't have just checked pre and then fired the flop. Okay, obviously when he bets $1 into 26, I think he's folding a lot to a raise. It's a weird little min raise. I think this might be where I'm just getting too aggressive. I'm not too worried about Dell, but Biff has me a little confused. If he has a hand at all, why is he just making it $2? It looks like he's just trying to isolate with overs, possibly just overs, or worse, against Dell and get me out of the pot. Even that was a little questionable. So my strategy for this video, I'll try and keep it around 30 minutes. I'll talk about the HUD a little, and as tables come up that are playable, um, I'll go from just one tabling to four tabling. But I played one session just on autopilot, stacked off fairly quickly, just value betting ace king top pair, dry board all the way until a flush got there, and we had a pot size bet left, and I just shoved it in like an idiot. Of course, he had a flush. Um, that's when I thought, okay, you know what? I should instead of playing a few thousand hands, 6,000 hands, getting back in the groove, I might as well just make a video right off the bat. And even if it has some hands I misplayed, for example, the 10-3 or even that king 5 on the button. So I chose to 3-bet because Biff, I can already tell that his 3-bet, um, that he's raising a lot. He's 38-21, and his fold to 3-bet overall is 67. And let's see. Sorry, one sec. Yeah, this is exactly why I wanted to start one tabling and just talk it out on video. A lot of people would call here. I think calling's a mistake out of position against when we're out of position on the guy that doesn't ever fold. Now let's get back to his stats. Oh, they are going to be on screen. So fold in position to 3-bet. I'm looking at this line here. Middle position is 80. It drops significantly on the cutoff and button, but our sample size is only 4 out of 5 and then 5 out of 11. So overall, he is raising a lot and he's folding to 3-bet a lot. So I thought I could 3-bet with king 5 suited. plenty fine if Dell actually just folds, and we'll take it down pre, or even better, as let's see, two bet. So this, yeah, these are all custom HUDs. I'm still adjusting. I'm very much more comfortable with Hold'em Manager. And I essentially just ported the HUD I used from Hold'em Manager over, but the pop-ups are all a little bit different here. And I had this down, but it's been a week. So these are overall 3-bet numbers. This is just if he raises pre-flop. Okay, so this is if we 3-bet. If this would be if he was the 3-better pre-flop. This is if he calls a 3-bet, which would be the situation. And fold to c-bet on the flop is 6 out of 8 times. So the reason I 3-bet the king 5 is I think he folds way too much, either pre or on the flop, both of which are ideal. And Dell is either going to get out of the way or cold call, and we still have king 5 suited, and we can reevaluate if Dell does get in the way, which did end up happening. And then it went really weird, $1, $2, 3-bet, and we were the ones that were the first to put in a real size bet on a jack deuce flush draw board, and took it down. All right, chaos. I'm not actually, especially given how uncomfortable I still am with these stats and stuff, as evidenced by this video. Trying to talk and do it at the same time right now is not working very well, so I'm going to try and keep it down to 2 tables. I just want to look real quick that he's not the fish. The fish actually left the table, so we're going to sit out next big blind. It was a mistake to post. He just insta bets again, and 10 high boards with a flush draw are decent to raise on. A lot of the time, I think versus your average reg at 100 NL, it's fine to just raise on this. Versus a very good or a very aggressive reg, which I think is doubtful that he is. In fact, he might actually be, now looking at these numbers. He's actually better than most. He folds a lot to 3-bets pre-flop. So what I actually probably would have done, having looking at these numbers, is let's see what his steal from his small blind steal is 44. It's actually pretty average. Okay, 10-4 off, but this guy folds big blind 69. Over here is 73, and it's just enough, I think, especially with the table breaking, pretty obviously breaking now that the fish is gone, to steal the blinds. Anyway, getting back to the decision of cold calling there and then raising on the 10 high flush draw board. Now looking at the numbers, I think 3-bet is slightly better. Here we know Dell does this $1 lead with very light. It is a little bit nice that we have a jack of spades. Obviously, it's mostly a bluff, and I think that Dell is very often just betting $1 and folding to a raise here, especially on the ace high monotone board. And it's going to be hard for Rob to do much unless he does have a pair and a flush draw, or he has a flush. Especially looking at his numbers, he's 24-16, 40, just pretty average. Doesn't like to 3-bet much. Folds a lot pre-flop. So I don't think he's going to be apt to make a play at me there specifically. And so therefore, enough of the time, Dell, who's now left the table, is just going to check fold his silly little $1 donk bet, or whatever you want to call it. Don't have any reason to believe that he's balanced it on that spot, and that he's doing that with anything but hands he's going to fold. Biff is just fishy. Oh, I accidentally posted, but I got king, so it all works out. Let's just see his 3-bet versus a button open, versus a button isolate on the small blind is around 9%. On a short-handed table with 7-8, I think it's just barely a call. A pretty bad 4-bet, and fold's also reasonable. I think calling is slightly better. This is an awful flop for us. I don't really need to look at the numbers any further. 10-8 off. This guy never folds. He's short-handed. I don't think there's any reason to steal the small blind in that situation versus the fish at the table. And noticing now that the fish at this table bottom right, Jazz, is only 38 VPIP, and we're out of position on any short stacked. It's another table that is an easy one to stand up from. Just a pretty standard C bet there with the 7-7 queen flush draw. That table broke. These guys in the cutoff here, I'm opening this because the small blind, big blind are both at 80 or above, fold to steal. Jazz is a little fishy, but even then he's passive fishy. Looks like until you get to the turn and the river. So it wouldn't be too hard if he decides to cold call. We can see bet once, and if we miss, and take it away. I'm gonna fold the ace-4 off. It is again close to a 3-bet, I think. Okay, now this guy opens a lot on the cutoff. Cutoff pre-flop raised is 26. He doesn't fold the 3-bet. King Jack is just a nasty hand to do much with. I don't. 3-betting is pretty awful. I don't. Wow. Okay, there's a way to call. He only actually c-bets around 30% of the time, so and then he bets a lot on the turn. It's close between a donk here and just checking, waiting for him to bet on the turn. Or in this case, this is obviously just a beautiful board for him to c-bet, so we'll let him make that mistake when we do have a king. I don't anticipate folding this. And so we did get two bluffs out of him. I'm gonna guess with just total air. The card should pop up, but we can always do this. So he actually had a pair of 4s, a 4 and a 9. Interesting. I think that's actually worth noting here that he did c-bet. If I looked at his stats, I like making notes when it's something that it's information I could not get from looking at the stats, or that conflict with the stats in some way or another. I would have assumed, given that his flop c-bet percent is 31%. Let's see if I can get the full. Oh, I don't even have the full pop-up. I just know where they all are. But his flop c-bet percent is 31, which is so low. I would assume that on any board where he flopped middle or bottom pair on a dry board like that he would not c-bet. So the fact that he did c-bet is noteworthy simply because it goes against the assumptions I have in his stats. I open ace-2 under the gun and get 3-bet by Robo, whose overall 3-bet's only 6%. I'm not even going to bother popping that up. I guess we could see what his fold to 4-bet numbers are, but I doubt it, and I am correct. It's very, very low that he folds to 4-bet. Again, we'll just let him have it. No, don't need to win every pot. That's certainly one of my problems is trying to find a way to win every pot. And obviously 100 NL with players as weak as they are, we don't need to do that. This one is close to a call. My initial thought process was to just call, kind of like I did on table 2 and Bink. But given that JKS folds in 80 up, way up at 89% to 3-bet, I don't mind isolating with 8s here versus the fish at the table. Okay, let's see what he does as the caller. He doesn't fold to c-bet. He does fold a lot to c-bet. The problem with checking is, of course, letting him check and get there. I think it's best we don't really have to bet about 1150. Looks like a weird size bet. We can then bet 20 bucks, and we have just over a 3/4 pot size river bet left. If I did that math right, we'll see in a second. The guy's just so weak passive that with eights here, I think it's just best to bet and bet and bet. Okay, I am gonna regret not having the full pop-up that I'm used to. Um, so we were betting what, 60 into 80? It's pretty much right. I mean, versus NJ Elliott there, he's gonna fold a lot, but at the same time, we've just got to start building a pot. And he does look pretty aggressive. I think. I mean, man, he does C bet and bet the turn a lot, which would C bets up at 92, turn C bet 77. So here's another one that's slightly better to just 3-bet, even though it would seem weird because it's a medium strength hand. But just looking at the stats that are on the table, he folds to 3-bet too much, and that's a good flop for us. And that's a great turn for us. Surprised to see him fold. Obviously, in retrospect, could have just check called or check shoved the turn, but seems odd. Seems like it must have just been a pure float on his part, which was a little unexpected. This is going to be off the screen, unfortunately, but in a 3-bet spot, he does fold a 3-bet quite a lot, so I'm surprised to see him um, call one bullet there on ace high. Now, if I were playing at more peak hours, the top left table now with Biff only at it, not with immediate position on him, I would leave. Maybe even the bottom right table with Bozzy. But we're playing right now. I'll show you the scan in a second. There's just not many games to go off of here. So we'll go to his 3-bet number here. It's fold pre-flop button. Fold in position to 3-bets 47%. So I was more tempted to look at that simply because he opened a 3x. I can see that overall he likes to fold a lot, but he is positionally aware. He is a positionally aware fish, I guess I should say, in that he recognizes the button has value and it's not just auto folding the 3-bets there. So we can't 3-bet any 2, which is what I was checking. Yeah, it's real close. As you just give up the ace 5 there. No, it's an easy raise pre and C bet fold. This guy raises. I don't want to time out. Oops, sizing was a little off there, but that's okay. Can't play a set too wrong if you just play it fast. just made it just a little bit bigger, but that's fine. Yeah, because now it's just a little awkward. Obviously, 5-6 got there. Hearts is a little more likely, or he could have 9-10. So obviously, it's still more likely that we're best. I don't like checking, check shoving. I think it lets him check behind too much. This might even be a little bit too inviting for draws to call. I think though, if he still has a, I don't know. I think he's so aggressive. He's just gonna shove a draw here. And he does. Um, okay, so it's weird. I think it's best to check call actually. Given how aggressive he is, given the fact that it's still more likely that he might decide to shove hearts there. And he did have hearts. He had the nut heart draw, ace 10 of hearts. So we give him a chance to bluff hearts. We get, especially when all the straight draws get there. If we shove, obviously he has to fold his flush draws, and he's just going to call when we're beat. But at the same time, he's so aggressive. I just can't imagine check folding there. Just given that he's 3-betting 9, c-betting 80. Uh, yeah, let's see where these 3-bets are coming from. Early position is at 5. So a lot of them are when he's out of position, like in this case, and it's going to work with the 3-4. Since I was about to say since we just won the last pot, but more because we just have one of the worst hands, and it's just made slightly worse by the fact that we did just win a sizable pot off of him. Uh, the mistake there with the pocket eights was the sizing, as I immediately mentioned. I should have just made it a little bit bigger on the flop and forced him to get it all in on the flop. Um, as played, I think I also should have bet the turn just a little bit bigger so he couldn't profitably call. We pretty much were committing ourselves with that turn bet, and yeah, given his numbers, I was not going to fold once I bet that 19.99 on the turn. Therefore, it should have been bigger to make it so he couldn't call and only put in the rest of his chips when he got there, which is in fact what happened. So um, I think the only way we could have won more is if we got it all in on the flop. Bazzi, I just, yeah, he doesn't even have 100 big blinds, and it's like, just, I mean, I'm a fan of just getting it in here. I think he has a worse jacks a decent amount, air, which is fine. Um, I don't think yeah, he doesn't go wild with air on multiple streets, or a flush draw, which once he's now short, he could some kind of draw. I guess a straight draw too. He could just get frustrated and shove if we raise. Certainly isn't folding a lot of other jacks as well. Looking at his numbers, so I don't see any reason to call. There's no incentive to just call there. He's just not aggressive enough. Overall aggression percent is 27. Turn c bet overall is 24, and those are so low that I don't need necessarily to um, I can extrapolate from there and apply his overall logic to his logic on raising that flop, and it's certainly not going to be firing multiple streets with air. So, but it might be to just get it in there with a worse hand or a draw. this is a spot again, because now I've looked at his numbers. My standard here would be to call and just play a very average hand in position for someone who's opening or just under 50% in the small blind, which is high. But this guy specifically is folding a lot, 79% overall, and so that's usually higher when he's out of position. Of course, that opens us up to some pre-flop wars that are not ideal to get in with better regulars, but I think it's still just a little bit better to take it down pre than it is to flat. Specifically versus Bunny, he actually um, he does c-bet a lot, but I get a feeling he's one of the better players. Just overall his numbers look pretty solid, and I can't find any glaring flaws in his game post-flop or pre-flop just by looking at his stats. And at 100 at no limit, that means we might as well just well, that I should take back. The one glaring flaw is that he opens the small blind too wide and folds the three bets too wide. And because that's the one big flaw I can see, I prefer then, therefore, to just three bet and exploit that weakness instead of one he may or may not have post flop. When we have position, but he has the initiative, and I think he's a decent player at these stakes. So um, I'd rather just try and more or less stay out of his way by three betting. And if he four bets, that sucks, but it seems better than getting it into a lot of post flop battles. That's Jack 10 suited. I think you just got auto C bet there on that board versus Biff. Okay, I think this video helped me a lot. Obviously, in the beginning, I was struggling. Okay, let's see. So he called and then donked. The problem is he see bets the if he's donking the flop, he's gonna donk the turn, and we're gonna have to make a play either on the flop. I don't think floating, knowing that he's let's say 80% more gonna bet the turn to just try and hit or then make a play is good, and I don't think raising him on the flop there is good compared to just calling. So it seems a little dirty to just fold ace queen to his donk, but it can't be too terrible. He's actually on the cutoff here, and he folds a lot. So we'll just 3-bet the ace queen. And same with Biff. Finally, again, we've already seen that he's a little bit exploitable. Fold into 3-bets. Not so much in this spot when he's on the button, but certainly at this point now on the flop. And that's a good flop for us. He does call, and he does fold a lot again. It is actually pretty tempting to bet again, given that we have a gutter, given that I can't see any aces other than ace king continuing, but I am just going to give it up. Okay, I just have to guess he has something like ace 7, ace 9, ace 10, any ace, probably with the rest of the board playing. Yeah, he did have ace 5. Alright, this is going to be a little awkward sizing, but I don't know what else to do. 9-10 versus head or tail suited. I can already see he's 3-bet so much. He's at 12%. And I mean, obviously we have to play back on this flop. So I like just making it. In general, you want to make it a little bit smaller, but with this specific hand, I think it's okay to go a little bit bigger. Great turn. Surprised to see him just call. We're gonna time out. I'm just gonna bet a really really weird amount here. And just hopefully we can induce a shove with a worse pair or a worse draw. Must have been what happened. Let's see what he had. Yeah. Oh, he actually had a better draw, no pair. So we got it in pretty good at both tables for his head or tail. All right, and that actually marks the 30-minute mark of running good, hitting sets, and stacking fools. As I was starting to say, I think the 30-minute video will give you a decent idea of how I play, how I use the stats, how I table select, but more importantly will help my game because I was struggling. I was admittedly struggling at finding the numbers quick enough when the video started, which indicates that the first few hundred hands I played, um, after having taken a week off, I was on very much on autopilot and needed this video. So I will be yeah, this. Oh yeah, I did say I was going to bring in this scan. This is what I'm finding now as far as fish. I think that's probably what, VPIP over 40% right now at 100 NL, and we know about 92% of the player field. So I'll come back on, put in a real session, hopefully with the same focus on the stats and what to do. And so I won't make some of those mistakes I did in the beginning, where I actually could have and should have won a little bit more money this session had I been paying attention to the numbers from the beginning. Anyway, hope this video. I think this video brought up a lot of interesting spots. Obviously, we ran good, but there should be enough to talk about even on the first few hands. So at the 32-minute mark now, I will say farewell.